YOYOKA just recently played a tour in Japan, and one of the nights was live streamed, which was featuring Minoru Niihara, the singer of a classic Japanese heavy metal band, Loudness, formed in 1981. And just today, YOYOKA put out the video from the live performance of Burn, which she played with Minoru Niihara. And it really stood out to me because it was one of the cleanest recreations of the original song that I've ever heard a band play live. And I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to give like a review on the live stream that I watched, because it was a full live concert, and I think it's a taste of what YOYOKA live shows are gonna be, which is really unique and really interesting. So I'm gonna talk about that. But first, this Burn cover that she just put out on Patreon. Highly recommend you go check it out. If you thought her original Burn cover was cool, this live version is just mind-blowing. Her drums are taken up to the next level. Everything is so cleanly played, so in the pocket. And she performed it with the singer of Loudness, Minoru Niihara, who throughout this whole concert I was very impressed by, but also had SATSUMA3042 on guitar and Aunt Madoon on bass, and Holy on keys, who was also the keys solo in Burn. It was so spot on. I've never heard a live performance of Burn that was so true to the original and so well played. Just such an impressive lineup. But the cool thing about the YOYOKA concert was that throughout the whole show, the lineup kept changing. It featured a lot of different musicians all in one show, different vibes and feels and tones throughout. That was really interesting because it started with the Kanea YOYOKA family band, which was YOYOKA, Shito, Aki, Ri, and then Aunt Madoon on bass. And they also had a guitarist and keyboardist that I'm not sure what their names were. They played Utopia to open, and it was so fun to see the family go back and forth sharing the vocals. It's a hard song to sing because there's so many different vocal parts going on, tossing back and forth. And it was cool to see YOYOKA sing while playing drums. So I'm hoping more footage comes out of this concert over on her Patreon, because that was really cool. And they played Happy, Run a Temperature, which is one of their original songs I hadn't heard before, but it was a beautiful performance by Ri. Very powerful, emotional, heartfelt. Even though I didn't know what she was saying, I was still really touched by it. They did Communication Breakdown with Aki on lead vocals, who hits these insanely high notes. I think there was a clip of him singing it with YOYOKA playing an electronic drum kit from a NAMM show a while back, but that was really cool to see. They played a Dua Lipa song, Break My Heart, and YOYOKA actually played bass on that, which was really interesting. And Shito played drums, and I was really impressed with Shito's drumming. Like his sister, very in the pocket, such a natural sense of rhythm. And it's kind of funny to watch him because sometimes he's so chill that he'll like miss the snare once in a while just because, you know, he's just like, this is no big deal, not really paying attention all the time, but he still holds down the rhythm so well. And it's really impressive to see that. The next song, Shito got on guitar. And this was funny because he borrowed the PRS of the guitarist that had been playing with them for this whole set. And I just remember back to when they were here and I had left my PRS sitting on a stand and Shito went to pick it up and was playing it. And I was just like, whatever. Then Aki runs over. He's like, no, put that down. It was just funny to see how he's grown so much just since then because he's actually really good at guitar. And they played Bulls on Parade, which has, you know, some pretty big string jumps playing those octave notes and that riff during the verse. And he even played the guitar solo with like the record scratching sound on the strings. So, you know, he's come a long way from Aki not wanting him to touch my guitar to now he's playing lead guitar on a Rage Against the Machine song. Oh, next was a band of kids. And I think during her tour, she was featuring a group of kid musicians from the locality of wherever her show was that night. That night, they played Killing in the Name. Just absolutely nailed it. The guitar solo was perfect, which is another hard solo to nail down. And the bassist was doing some crazy tapping during that really chaotic section. And yes, Shito saying the real words at the end, which as an English speaker, it was shocking but hilarious. So after the kids got done, then they brought out the lineup that was in the Burn cover. They played a really epic set of just rock classics mixed with some Loudness songs that I hadn't heard before, but Soldier of Fortune is what they started with, a Loudness song. Then they played Van Halen's Dreams, the classic Good Times, Bad Times, YOYOKA's signature, and then was Burn, which was released on her Patreon, which, again, highly recommend you go check that out. After that, they played another Loudness song called Crazy Doctor, which I really liked. It was just a really fun song, had some epic guitar solos in it. Speaking of which, then they played another Van Halen song, Jump, another classic, and they ended it with everyone who played that night coming back on the stage and doing Living on a Prayer. And this is where I was really seriously impressed with Minoru Niihara's vocals, because this is a song that I've always played in cover bands, and the vocals are so high in the chorus. It's one of those songs I always had to switch to falsetto for the chorus, and no one I ever played with could really sing it. I mean, not even Bon Jovi really can sing it live. But Minoru Niihara just nailed it. His voice was so powerful on the big chorus, and even after the key change, he was hitting those notes perfectly, even riffing on them all the way until the end of the set. Just maximum power in his voice, and he has such a gritty, powerful voice with a lot of harmonic overtones in it, like when he would sing into the microphone with no other instruments playing. Oh, yeah. It almost sounded like there was an octave effect on his voice, even though there wasn't. It's just his natural voice, but you'll have these low undertones and then these higher overtones that kind of make it sound distorted, and just such a unique tone. He really uses his voice as an instrument, and he's a master of it. And that Living on a Prayer performance was just such a great example of that. Anyway, I'm a bigger Loudness fan now than I was before I watched that concert, and also SATSUMA3042. Such a fun guitarist. The two of them, kind of veterans of rock, were bantering a lot back and forth on the stage. You could tell that they both really know how to entertain, because even though YOYOKA would be shy and kind of subdued in the back, the two guys up front would really work the audience, have conversations on the stage. Again, I have no idea what they were talking about, but you could just tell from their charisma that they were having a good time, working the crowd, just bantering back and forth in a fun way. So that was really awesome. One thing during that Burn performance I really loved is when Satsuma came in with the harmonies during the first chorus, and the reaction that Minoru had was he took his sunglasses off and he just has this shocked look on his face. I don't know if they had rehearsed it before or if everyone just practiced their parts and they came together for that show, but it seemed like he was genuinely shocked that Satsuma came in with these great harmonies. It was cool to see that attitude on stage. And then at the end of the show, instead of the lights going off and them escaping, they just started talking to the crowd, and it looked like they were all starting to pick up stuff on the stage. There was no hierarchy there, even though, Minoru is a rock legend. It's just such a sense of community, having everyone out on stage together. The guitarist who had played for the first set was out during Living on a Prayer, and he was just rocking out with Shito, just being a hype man in the back, drawing attention to whoever was playing at the time. And it was cool to see that kind of humility from a guitarist who was also a really amazing guitarist who played for the first Kanei YOYOKA set. Anyway, if you didn't see it live, I'm so sorry you missed it, but now you can see part of it over on YOYOKA's Patreon. So go check that out. Hopefully she'll put out more footage from that concert in the future. But that's where I'm going to wrap this up. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.